It's not just hackers who want to know your personal information. Two of the country's largest cell phone carriers could be tracking what you do online.
And what's interesting, Dell, is that they're using technology to actually snoop on smartphones. And experts say there may be nothing we can really even do about it. If you own a cell phone like most people, chances are AT&T and Verizon have been snooping on you, tracking web activity of more than 100 million users. They're doing it using so-called supercookies, a special code that keeps tabs on customers' browsing habits.
The whole idea behind learning more about you through these supercookies is, on a benign side, to help serve better ads to you.
The carriers could trade that data in exchange for big advertising bucks, competing for a larger share of the multi-billion-dollar online ad industry, an industry dominated by the likes of Google and Facebook. According to the Washington Post, Verizon has been at it for years, since 2012. AT&T's program is not quite as advanced and still in the testing phase. But all this is not going down well with privacy advocates, with many crying foul. Most troubling, they believe, is that supercookies can't be deleted. Even the savviest netizen can't escape them by browsing in private mode or even incognito. Verizon, however, says it allows users to simply opt out, and it's taken steps to alert customers that they're being tracked.
It's not easy to opt out at all. And even if you go through the process of opting out, you're still being tracked. The only difference is your information, supposedly, is not being shared with Verizon partners.
Still, some critics contend it's against the law. The Electronic Frontier Foundation taking that idea one step further, contemplating a lawsuit against the carriers. Tim Stevens is editor-at-large for CNET, and he joins us via Skype from Albany, New York this morning. Tim, thanks so much for being with us. But help me understand something for a minute here. Verizon Wireless has been tracking the internet activity of 106 million customers for 2 years now. And the company even said it notified customers and gave them this option to really opt out. So what exactly then is the issue?
Right. The problem is that while you can opt out of Verizon's advertising program, that doesn't actually stop them from inserting this so-called supercookie into your online data. So this ID that they're inserting into any transmission that you make from your phone is still being inserted even if you opt out. And the problem is that anybody else can also be looking at this ID to track your online movements. And that's really the big problem here. Not so much that they're inserting this ID, but that there's no way for you to turn that off.
Okay, hold on. I want to go back to what you just said. You said anyone else can see what you're searching?
Right. For example, if you're sitting in a coffee shop and you are using a Verizon connection, for example, anybody else who's monitoring the online connections through that coffee shop would be able to see that ID inserted in your online traffic. The other thing is you can imagine advertising networks which have ads on a lot of different websites out there. They can look at that ID coming in from incoming traffic and basically build a profile of you as you go from one website to the next, seeing exactly where you're surfing, and they can tie that back to you directly.
Okay, so Tim, that does not sound awesome. I'm sufficiently freaked out. So what's the point here? What do phone providers really do with this information?
So the basic idea is to track what you're up to online so that they can build a better profile of what you're looking for and then serve better ads. Because the more appropriate the ads that you see, the more relevant they are to you, the more likely that you are to click on them. And of course, if you're going to click on them, then they're going to make more money. That's the whole idea here. And ultimately, it's not a bad thing to see more relevant ads. You have to see banner ads anyway. They might as well be something that's relevant to you. But the problem is that all these programs, you're opted in by default, which is a bit of a shame. And again, the real problem with the Verizon one is there's no real way to turn it off.
But what about the legal issue here? I mean, do users have a legal right to privacy, and are these mobile phone carriers really violating that?
That's definitely up to debate. We haven't seen any formal legal challenges to this yet, and I think that we very well may, especially given the fact that you cannot opt out of Verizon, at least not effectively. But as of now, there are quite a few programs like this. In fact, Apple has something built into iOS, which is pretty similar, which basically inserts IDs again into your online traffic. That one, at least, you can opt out of fairly easily in the settings on your iPhones or your iPads. But these sort of programs are out there, and they're certainly not too rare, I'm sorry to say.
All right. Well, Tim, thanks for helping us be a little bit more vigilant. Tim Stevens, editor-at-large for CNET in Albany this morning. Tim, thanks so much for being with us.